I don't think I can get used to this city living with all the road and all this stuff down here. It's interesting. Okay, we're ready to go live, Chairman, so you're ready to go.
Good evening, everybody. We're going to call the May 21st, 2020 meeting to order. First item is roll call. Board Member Manis.
Here.
Board Member Cooper.
Here.
Board Member Smith.
Here.
Board Member Evans we're having technical difficulties, so hopefully she'll be able to join us here shortly. And I'm here. Next item is be Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is adopt the agenda. I make the motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Okay.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Motion carries. Student recognition and staff recognitions.
Okay, at this time, let's see, Lori, would you go over to that screen for me and click on that?
Hang on just a second. Can you see it?
Okay, would like the minutes as well to reflect just once again continued appreciation of everyone within the district, cooks, bus drivers, instructional assistants, custodians, preparing and delivering almost 61,733 meals to the children in Menifee County during the COVID-19 crisis. We have not been serving meals at this time, but we will be picking that up during our summer feeding program, and I think that will begin next week. Just want to thank all the staff members, all teachers, instructional assistants, secretaries, volunteers, just everyone going out and above and beyond. Ms. Schwartz, want to thank you, your high school staff, all the volunteers, board members, for everyone volunteering, going above and beyond the call of duty for an amazing graduation service. This will be streamed live Friday night at 7 o'clock on Mountain Telephone, and will also then go live at approximately 8 o'clock on YouTube as well as Facebook Live. We will be sending out that information very soon on our Facebook page once we get that link established. So that will be going out tomorrow. So once again, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Mountain Telephone, and at approximately 8 o'clock on Facebook Live and YouTube, and that link will come out tomorrow, probably around noon. Also would like to thank Mr. Thomas Wolford for all of his support for making the ear saver protectors for all the medical providers, not only in Menifee County, but several counties in Kentucky and other states. Once again, thank you, Mr. Wolford, utilizing the 3D printer and all the students that were involved in that process. Once again, I can't stress enough appreciation for all of our staff, teachers, principals, everyone involved, central office staff, of making this a successful end to the 1920 school year. Thanks, everyone. You all done a great job. Thanks to our parents. Thanks to our community volunteers. Much appreciative. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think it's kind of overwhelming how much everybody's done, and I think the graduation turned out for the first time, and flying blind like that with no practice, it turned out great.
And I also just received confirmation it'll be 8:30 Friday night for Facebook Live and YouTube.
Treasurer's report, Munis balance sheets.
Okay, if you look at your balance sheet here, you can see in the general fund at the end of April, we had $1.7 million in there. Special revenue account was a negative $90,000, which most of our grants are reimbursements. District activity, which is the schools funds, are $47,000, and student activity, which is their funds through their boosters and any kind of fees and those kinds of things, are $45,000. Your capital outlay fund is 99,000. Your building fund is a negative 112, and we received the rest of that money this month. Our construction account is 12.5 million. Our debt service is at 0 because we've transferred everything over and paid everything out. And our food service is at 61,000.
I move that we approve the balance sheet.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Monthly financial report.
If you look on this, like I said, this is the end of April. As we go through here, we always look at our total and our general fund for revenues, which is usually on page right there. It's a little longer than normal. This time last year was 7.2. This time this year, we've collected 7.37 million, and our expenditures last year was 3.5, and this year is 5.3, and this year is 5.7. We're on target for where we thought we were with a contingency at 781,000.
Any questions or discussion? Not, I make the motion to approve the monthly financial report.
I'll second.
I don't know who seconded that for sure, for the records.
I seconded, but also I think Julia did, so either one's fine.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Bank reconciliation.
Okay, if you look at your bank reconciliation this month, you'll see we have a reconciled balance in our bank account of $14,330,000.
And it came out to 0.00. That hardly ever happens.
Yeah, I know. It made me nervous. I thought something was wrong, so I kept going.
I'd be like, oh, we got a problem. There's something crazy.
We looked at it several times. It did kind of freak me out.
I would have done it too.
I move that we approve the bank rec.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Cash flow statement.
Okay, if you look at your cash flow statement, of course, I've updated everything. If you take out the bond funds, it looks like we'll end the year at right around 932,000 in the general fund. And I think that's a conservative balance.
Well, all through we've been talking about we'd like to hit close to 1 million. So so far we're doing pretty well. So
you're gonna have to push the button a little bit harder, April, because that's what I want as well.
Yeah. I think we'll be close. We may not top 1 million, but I think we'll be closer to it than 932.
I agree, but we're still going to push it, Lori.
I know.
All right.
I make a motion we approve the cash flow statement.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Calendar update.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
At this time, I'm going to invite Miss Pelfrey to come in with us. I've been in meetings this afternoon, and of course, she's been in several meetings as far as Director of Pupil Personnel, as far as her role as Director of Support Services. Of course, you all know we've been asked to, I've tried to keep you informed, but we've been asked to try to develop 3 calendars, kind of a approximate time to potentially come back to school, potentially continue utilizing NTI, but just a variety of things that we will be utilizing this year. There's still a lot of unknowns. Of course, we've got a couple months in preparation for this. We will be meeting together as a team tomorrow with the directors, and then we'll be meeting with our principals and other staff members on Tuesday as we begin preparation. And we've closed 1 year out with graduation, and we'll begin another year starting on Tuesday. So this group continually amazes me with the work that they're doing for us. So directors and principals, you all have done an outstanding job and for the 1920 school year, and teachers, as well as all other staff members. But we're beginning the 2021 school year. That'll start tomorrow, and we'll start on Tuesday. We'll keep our public informed just as quick as we get information. There's just a lot of unknowns out there, but we want to be prepared. So everything we do will be healthy at work, healthy for our kids, and healthy for our community. So, Ms. Pelfrey, if Chairman Spencer, Ms. Pelfrey will lead this discussion, if that's okay.
Yeah, proceed, please.
All right, so I would imagine that you guys have probably heard that KDE has released some new guidance for reopening schools. And we have been encouraged to develop at least 3 options for returning to school. One option would be an early opening. So this would probably be late July. And that is if the Department of Public Health decides that we would be at lower risk for students to return to school during summer months and possibly higher risk in the fall. So we would begin early, get some instructional days in with the possibility of looking at an additional closure toward the middle of the school year if the virus happened to peak again. The second option that they're encouraging is a traditional start calendar. So we already have our traditional calendar approved. I believe we did that at our February meeting. And our current approved start date is August 12th. So we would use this date if it's determined that the changing of seasons or the temperature would not impact the virus or make it a healthier decision for us to come back to school either earlier or later. We also have the option of looking at pushing it back slightly from August 12th and looking at the option of opening the Monday closest to August 26th, which would be August 24th, I believe. So that's another option for us. And in that case, we are able to waive the 170-day requirement for our calendar, but would still be required to meet the 1,062-hour requirement. So again, that's just another option for us to look at. If we're looking at something that's slightly closer to a traditional calendar, also meets the requirements, but we're not looking at going as late as September, beginning September. So
let me intervene there just a few moments, Ms. Pelfrey. From my meeting today, I think if we looked at that option, from what I gather, we would have to go approximately about a 7-hour day. It would mean that we'd have about 152 days in, 151 days throughout the year, with the 10 NTI days of about 142 days. So this was in reference, Senator Wise sent out a letter to all school superintendents last week, reminding of legislation that was passed. Is kind of known as the tourism bill or the lake bill. So if we did start at that time, it would mean it would waive that 170 days, as Ms. Pelfrey just stated. So several options out there. Ms. Pelfrey, I'll let you continue.
Okay, so the third option is a later start date. So if the Department of Public Health decided that the risk of contracting the virus would decrease when the weather gets a little bit colder, then we could opt for a late September or even early October start date. So I've been working on 5, 6, 7, maybe different options for start dates so that we're prepared. And that's what they're encouraging us to do, is just be prepared, for whatever happens and have a plan. As Mr. Spencer said, we have a meeting with the central office staff tomorrow with our administrators here, so we can start the planning process. And then our administrative team will also meet on Tuesday to look at all of the different considerations that KDE's released, which will definitely influence what calendar that we choose moving forward. You guys have any specific questions about recommendations from KDE?
Beyond where the virus is, do the principals have an opinion that they would like to have us consider with more care? Like, do 7-hour days work with your educational expectations?
I think that's something that we're planning to discuss as we meet with our principals next week. That's why I'm kind of trying to work out several different options so I can share with them so they can see what's going to suit the needs of their students the best. Of course, with the document released by KDE, there's also a lot of planning that will go into once we do go back to school, because it's very likely that it's not going to look like what we typically think that the beginning of the school year is going to look like. So a lot of questions that we have to answer and a lot of areas that we need to look at with the principals in making the decision of when the best time is for us to go back to school.
Okay,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
do we think we're going to have a special call meeting then to finalize this at some point before June meeting?
I think we'll probably be looking at different options. We have we had a conference call today with the governor. A lot of that was just with contact tracing, but we will have another meeting with the commissioner as well as folks from uh, state and health officials on Tuesday. And it's just one of those things that we'll keep everyone informed as we go along. There's still a lot of unknowns out there about social distancing, about how many people they're recommending riding school buses, how many people as far as eating lunch at different times, how many people can be in the building, do the students have to wear face masks, the teachers have to wear face masks, and we're supposed to get more information on that on Tuesday. So this will just be kind of one of those things that develop as we go across throughout the summer. And if we need to call another special call board meeting before the June regular meeting, we would do so.
Very good.
My first thought, maybe it's too far out to matter right now, but my first thought was Thanksgiving, with everybody traveling both into the county and out of. If starting early, even if it was something we're allowed to do, even if it wasn't required, I was wondering if it'd be a good idea to do something like where we could into Thanksgiving and the end of the school year, instead of sending kids out into the world and back into the school for 2 or 3 weeks and in it again. We could just stop and allow for that buffer, you know.
And I know that's what the colleges are doing. Spoke with Morehead State University today, and I think they're looking at trying to end the semester but at Thanksgiving break and then come back after January. So those are just a lot of different options that were before us today, and we'll do the very best that we can. But our number one priority is maintaining a healthy environment for our students, our staff, as well as our community. And we will not do anything to jeopardize any of that.
I think we're all on board with that.
Yes. So Ms. Pelfrey will continue providing information to us. We'll send you emails along the way, and we'll keep our community informed as soon as we know things, either through Facebook or through our district webpage. And we're still trying to connect Miss Evans along as well. So we're working behind the scenes to try to get her on board.
Okay, am I not coming through right now?
Okay. Brenda's with us now, so.
Yeah, I've been with you for a while there.
Okay, I didn't know she was with us, so let the minutes
Heard her vote.
I guess.
I have to be able to see her, Mr. Spencer.
Yeah. Brenda, do you have video?
I'm seeing you right now.
Okay, we can't see you.
Okay, let's see what we can do.
Go down to your low left.
I
Okay,
see
you are.
Brenda. So
Can you see me now?
You can,
now the minutes reflect, and just let the minutes reflect that at 5, whatever time it is, Miss Evans joined the meeting. Is that correct, Sean? Since we
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Yes, Mr. Spencer, that is correct.
Okay, all right.
Thank
Welcome
you.
aboard, Miss Evans. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Okay, is that it? We good?
All right, you're ready for consent items.
Consent items. Any questions or discussion on any of that? You want to go over Mr. Spencer?
Pay dates, of course, is the 15th and then the last day of the month, unless it falls on a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, then it'd be the Friday before. Pay scales, there are no increases in pay scales for this year for as far as raises. District technology plan, pretty much self-explanatory. Job description for bookkeeper, we went through that, should have an opportunity to have read that. Non-resident contract with Montgomery County, any and all. Surplus bus 25. We got a new smaller bus in today that will service our special education kids. Approve our KECSAC agreement. This was with our group home. And then we also today found out that we received a Save the Children Summer Grant Program. That was through Miss Means, so congratulations, Miss Means. Staff members, instead of being the $25 an hour, the 2 teachers would realize it'll just be $20 an hour, as well as a coordinator of $20 an hour and peer tutor. And then a federal cash request for our statement of assurances. This will allow us to draw off of our federal programs.
I make a motion, we approve consent items.
Second.
I'll second.
I think Matt had a second first, I believe. Is that correct?
Okay.
All those in favor saying aye? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Discussion and approval items. Approve 2021 tentative budget.
Okay, Miss Bartley, I'll let you lead. I will lead off with this. Miss Pelfrey's been working on with our superintendent attendance report, our SAR report. The good news with that is we do get to go back and utilize the 18-19 school year information. So we will be funded next year on 913 students. Is that correct, Miss Pelfrey?
That's correct. I'm sorry, I was muted.
Okay. All right. Miss Bartley, I'll let you drive the car for a few moments.
So what I kind of did is I took, we went through all line by line on everything on our revenues. And if you'll go down here and look at our total revenues in our general fund, where's it at? Total receipts for last year were 9.3, right around 9.4. The current budget is 9.3, and next year's budget is 9.2. This, we went through, like I said, line by line, reduce things that needed to be reduced, increase things that needed to be increased to get to this number. And I think it's a pretty close number to where we will end up for the year. Then
I have a question real quick, Lori.
Yeah.
The decrease, I'm sure, is a lot of our SEEK funding based on our children, our ADA and all that.
But you also have some different things that happen. We did get some insurance reimbursements from some different stuff in the prior year that we didn't get this year, and we won't get next year more than likely. Okay. So we reduced those off. Remember when the flooding happened?
Yes.
We got a little extra money there, and that we won't get this year. And I just tightened some things up.
I understand. That's why I figured it was mostly probably, the ADA difference that we're expecting, because we haven't, been as high as we hoped we would be, but.
Yeah. Okay. And then, like I told you before, I put, there's a program in Munis where I put everybody's information in for salaries, and it populates it to the general fund with all of the benefits and that kind of thing in there so that I don't make mistakes. So, and then we went through line by line. So last year's actual expenditures were 9.3. The current year budget is 10.8. And next year's budget is 10.2. Now, what I did do in this, and you'll look here, the contingency is 433,000, which is less than what it is now. But the way it works is whatever the contingency is on the day that I start this tentative budget is where I start our beginning balance. So I project our beginning balance is going to go up, which will increase this contingency. But all the other numbers should be pretty close to where we've spent so far this year and where we were last year. I also made sure that the BG1s, the projects that we have going on right now, are coded into high school, because we know those things are going to be expended there, so that those aren't in the contingency. We won't have to move funds out of anywhere else. They're actually budgeted in the high school now, so that we don't have to worry about that. And that's right around, our part of it's right around 119,000, 130,000.
And also, if you remember, when you looked at our cash flow projections, we were around 932 on the actual contingency. That's 433. So you should see a pretty good increase in that.
Right.
Once again, Lori budgeted, we all budget very conservatively.
Yeah. And Fund 2, really, they didn't have a whole lot of our numbers out. So I pulled forward all of our normal state and federal grants forward to next year based on and included all our payroll. And I'm sure the one you guys are more interested in seeing is our food service, and Lord help us. It should be okay. We should be fine. We did take in a lot of money in April. I think we collected from the feds 113,000, Mr. Spencer?
Yes, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Normally our reimbursement.
Also, you need to remember that we are in line to receive some CARES Act money through stimulus money. That's around another 500 and some thousand. So that will be utilized for, also there was a governor's relief fund for Kentucky. That's around 520 some $1,000 that will be coming in, but also we'll like to use some of that to help us get with the slide that we've had with our students being out of the regular education setting. And once we can get back to maybe offering some tutoring services or some intervention services to get our kids back up to where we need them to be.
In food service, we did have, where we took them on the bus, we did, we gave out like 700 meals at breakfast and lunch. It's actually a better percentage than when they're at school. But when summer feeding starts, which is next Wednesday, we feel like our numbers are going to plummet, but we're going to be doing hot meals. There'll be chicken legs, and there'll be actual hot meals. So, and they can come and pick them up. That way we know they're hot when they leave us.
And Miss Pelfrey and Miss Bartley, also we, last night it came out that Kentucky was one of 3 other, well, you got district in Columbia and Tennessee and Kentucky were approved if a district receives community education, the
Community eligible provision.
Community eligibility for food service, which all of our students eat for free, that parents of districts that are approved of that are eligible for $313 and some odd cents of actual assistance that they can provide. So if you will automatically receive this if you're part of SNAP or receive also government assistance. But any parent is also now eligible to apply for this, and you can contact Mrs. Pelfrey or Mrs. Bartley. You will need your school identification number. If you utilize Parent Portal on Infinite Campus, that number is in your Parent Portal. So more information will be on our district website. But any student that is enrolled in Menifee District would be eligible for this monies.
They cannot apply until June 1st.
And it's a one-time shot of $313 and I think 25 cents.
But and their student ID is at the top corner of their report card. I think it's like was it 9 or 10 digit number?
Is that correct, Ms. Pelfrey?
Yes, Lori also mentioned that a lot of our students may know this because it's the number they typically use.
And it's their iReady number.
And if anyone needs assistance with that, they can send us an email, call our office. We'll do whatever we can to provide assistance. But a lot of that would come through the local department in Menifee County.
Are we going to send out a Facebook notice about this? Because I'm sure a bunch of parents would be interested.
Well,
that is correct.
We need to get together and try to come up with some information so that we can get it out there. There's a flyer, and we'll go from there. And there's a questions and answers. There's a link on KDE's website that we'll try to get out to everybody.
Good.
And if anyone needs any assistance with that, we'll be happy to provide that, because $313 much needed for some of our families right now.
Oh, for sure.
And they have over a year to use those funds. So.
Oh.
Yep.
That's awesome too.
Is that per child, or is it
Yes,
just like
child.
one time?
Per child.
Wow. So that could be a significant help to some of our families.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
I'll try to get that link out there to you guys.
Okay, sorry, Lori, I didn't mean to interrupt, but it's a good time to bring.
You're fine. That's kind of the highlights of your tentative budget. Like I said, we just go from last year on what we actually expended, and take our salary projections from our program and input everything and go from there.
And probably you're also going to have some savings. Fuel costs will probably be down some this year. You'll probably also have some electricity, water, and utilities probably will be down some this year as well.
Too bad our insurance company's not going to give us a little break like some of the ones on TV or advertising.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, question?
I'll make a motion to approve the tentative budget.
I'll second.
All those in favor of approving the 2021 tentative budget signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried. Approve BG 120.257 MCHS reception fit up and electrical service.
All right. You got to find the right one. Lord have mercy. Okay. So what happened was you guys have already approved this. We included what is this? The bleachers and the reception in one BG1, but they wanted those split up. So this is your first one. I think this is your first one. Yes. So what we did, this is the the new office in the high school off the vestibule and the electrical services that go with that, and the door access on all the doors, and the $4,500 electrical to each one of those doors. Worked with Mr. Spencer and Lori, and I think Mr. Manley to make sure those doors were right. I'm hoping that he talked to Mrs. Swartz about it, because there were 10 doors that we wanted to electrify, and so that people can get in and out with those key fobs. If you look at that, the electrical and all of that is the project cost is $173,000. We did get approved to use capital outlay restricted SFCC money of $87,000. So that's out of the general fund, $86,000 for that project.
So we've already approved these once. We just have to approve them separated. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is correct.
Separated, and we added fixing the office to this one because they'll have to be electrical work to make the English room that is adjacent to the vestibule into an office.
Mhm.
We kind of want our secretary to be able to see from that window. We've added that teller
And-
window.
Okay.
We're expediting this as quick as possible. I know Ms. Schwartz is with me, and we've been a year getting the window put in, so hopefully we won't be near as long getting that room to meet her specifications.
Fingers crossed.
Well, I move that we approve these BG1s.
Ms. Schwartz must be on mute.
Well, I second.
All those in favor of approving BG 120.257 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approve advertising for bids for MCHS reception area per architect drawing pending KDE approval.
Okay,
This
we
is
met.
what you approved on the BG1.
I have drawings that will be as soon as KDE, I upload everything and KDE gives us approval. I have drawings that people can view to be able to give us a bid for the reception area and putting the door access in, electrical.
I move that we approve advertising for bids for the reception area pending KDE approval.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Approve advertising for bids for electrical update for door access and bleachers pending KD approval.
Should we approve the BG1 first, then advertise or not?
Both of these advertisements are a part of the reception, upfit, and electrical service.
BG1 that we just did in item B, Matt. And don't ask me why we have to do it this way. We're just doing what we were told the KDE told us we needed to do.
Yes, I'm trying.
But part of that bids is for the bleachers, but the next BG1's for bleachers. So
Yes, I had to split those, but you have working on the reception area per the drawing, building the walls, and then we have to advertise for bid for the electrical part of it, for adding electric to each one of the 10 doors. That's why they're separate.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter.
These were this was the order we told we needed them to be in, Matt. So don't ask me why. That's just,
Right. The reason I was asking because part of that.
I see exactly what you're saying, Matt.
All right. As long as it doesn't matter, I'm happy.
We've already went down this road, but good catch.
Well, it's the electrical for the bleachers. They wouldn't let me do the bid for the electrical or the bleachers in the same bid as the bleacher because it was a cooperative agreement.
Right. I understand why their two bids are split. What my question is why the BG1 for bleachers is not above the bid for the bleachers. That was my only question.
Gotcha. I thought the same thing, Matt. I'm with you.
All right. As long as we're good, I'm happy.
We're good.
And I make a motion that we accept the bid, correct?
Approved bid.
Approve,
Approve the
Let's,
bid.
advertise for bids.
approve advertising for bids.
For our BG1.
It's approve advertising for bids for the electrical update for, it's not the BG1, is it?
No,
Yeah.
we,
Approve advertise. It's item D. That's what we're on.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I've lost my place. Somebody else do this, please.
7D, where we're at.
Right, except I can only open one screen at a time, so I'm looking at all your all's mugs
Oh,
instead, so somebody else can read it.
I make a motion to approve advertising for bids for electrical update for door access and bleachers pending KDE approval.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Uh,
Motion carries. Approve revised BG1 20-228.
okay, so this one is, what they want here is you had to take the cooperative agreement, just the cooperative agreement. It's KEDC bids out the bleachers. There were two companies. We're taking this is the price of the lower bid, and this is the amount of just putting in the bleachers. No electrical work, them removing the bleachers and putting the bleachers up. This is the cost of that. The total project is $147,000. We're using capital outlay money of $87,000, and that's $60,000 out of the general fund.
I move we approve revised BG1 20-228.
I'll second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. Item 8, approve to accept cooperative agreement price from KPC bid list for MCHS bleachers pending KDE approval.
Okay, so this is the cooperative agreement at KPC. This is their part of the KPC bid list cooperative agreement. You can see the contract number up there. I should have all of your information on there. It will be one side of the bleachers. If you'll notice, the bottom 3 rows have backs on those. You'll see the handicap. You see the handicapped here. Those actually fold into the bleachers so that anybody in a wheelchair will not be out in the floor. They will be back in the bleachers where the rest of the people are. Lord, that's in the way. Hang on. Well, and here's your bid. This was actually, I think, $20,000 cheaper. They are comparable. I did talk to some other vendors. If you'll notice here, the price of the bleachers is $105,000. They will be doing complete removal of those bleachers for $11,700. And down here, the labor to install is $15,940. And this did include the bottom 3 rows having the backs on them.
And this is much needed because if we continue utilizing the ones we have, we're going to be out an astronomical fee on getting that floor repaired at the high school. Plus, it also meets its safety issues with the current bleachers that we have.
I was going to say, I thought it might be an insurance issue too.
It could be safety and insurance.
mm-hmm. Well, I make a motion we approve this bid from, what's the name again? Atlas Companies for the new bleachers at the high school.
I'll second.
Gotta be April.
Who got the second? The dog?
Sorry, that was mine.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approve change order BG 19-018 for Peace Central.
All right, here is another change order. This one is for, oh Lord, what is this one for?
It was for the hollow core planks on top of the second floor. Those sometimes don't always come in to certain they come in with specifications on them. Some of them are about 1 inch less. So what they've asked us to do is we need to add 1 inch of hollow core plank on it and it's additional $4,000 just to put the concrete to make everything even. This is something that occurs
This
all
one
the
is
time.
to add additional cabinets and countertops to the kitchenette in the special ed room, Mr. Spencer. I don't think they're ready for the other one.
The other one was the hollow core plank, the very first one.
Well, okay, excuse me.
This was to change it to $4,000 for the hollow core plank. But it was less than the $24,999, but I wanted to bring it for the board to look at.
I move we approve change order BG 19018 for the Menifee Central.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, I had to wait for a second. All those in favor of approving the change order for BG 19-018 for Menifee Central, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item G, approve joining opioid litigation and JUUL vaping litigation with other Kentucky school districts.
Okay. Board Attorney Conley, I'll kind of let you guide us through this, kind of give you the overall objective of this.
Okay, so we've been dealing with this with a few of the districts we represent. And what this entails, and I'm going to address each one of them separately because they're both, they're separate litigations. The first I want to talk about is the litigation against the opioid manufacturers. And this has been going on for quite some time. We've had several, you've seen several governmental entities, municipalities filing lawsuits, and I've seen county governments doing it in Eastern Kentucky, filing lawsuits against these opioid manufacturers because of the increased cost that has arisen because of the addiction issues. You're spending more money on law enforcement, you're spending more money on healthcare. It's a drain and a burden on your communities. And now school districts are becoming involved in these suits, and we've got a firm. It's a national litigation, but there's a fella in Louisville, Kentucky, and his firm is part of that group, and they would be representing the district. Now, the first thing I want to say is that there is no cost associated with joining in this litigation. There's no cost to the board. You're not out any legal fees or legal expenses. If you recover anything, it's a contingency fee thing. So if you recover something, then of course they're going to take their costs and fees out of that. But in terms of actual dollars out of the board's pocket, that's not going to happen. The only cost to the board or the district would be some man hours, in gathering information that's needed to show that there has been increased cost to the board as a result of dealing with children that were born of addiction, and particularly, and Julia probably could talk about this, but that neonatal abstinence syndrome, and that's when the baby's born with withdrawal symptoms, and there has been studies show that's an increased incidence of developmental disabilities and intellectual or developmental delays and intellectual disabilities, and of course that directly impacts your special ed program as children who have these issues increase the cost, to educate kids to the boards. I know some districts can show on a chart how much their special ed budgets have increased over the last 15 or 20 years as a result of this. I think some of the numbers I've seen, in 2003, healthcare costs of treating, now this is just healthcare costs, I don't have any numbers on education costs, but in 2003, it was $61 million that was spent on treating this NAS, this neonatal abstinence syndrome. And then by 2012, that number had increased to $316 million. So you're looking at a tremendous rise in just the healthcare costs. And of course, that translates over to the cost to educate as well, because we're having to have increase special education programs, resources, and all that, that takes money, and we have to fund those. And so we can show, most districts can show that there has been an increase in cost. So that's the damages that you would show in order to prove you're entitled to any compensation from the litigation. One interesting statistic I saw was that in 2016, we had like over 1,100 children born in Kentucky with this syndrome, and that's about that's a rate of 23.3 per 1,000 births. So I mean, that's a significant number when you're looking at this. In each district, and particularly in Eastern Kentucky, I know a lot of the boards we represent, we see a lot of this. And a lot of the folks I've spoken with at the district offices, particularly special education coordinators and the like, they talk about how they've seen an increase in rise. So the goal of the litigation is to try to recover some of this expense for the board. And right now, there's been an ongoing suit with, like I said, these governmental entities. I think the school boards are a little late to the party. So the more that get involved, the better bargaining position they'll have, because this will settle. There will be no trial. There have already been multi-million-dollar settlements paid out by these drug manufacturers. And so we're seeing, you're going to see a settlement. And I don't know, we can't guarantee any amount of money. We can't guarantee any money, but anything that you gain through this litigation is going to be, it's not going to cost you anything. It's not going to be, you're not investing any money. Like I said, it would only be some time and resource from our folks. And the gist of the litigation is that these manufacturers marketed these drugs to folks with chronic pain. And when they were initially introduced to the market, they didn't disclose the fact that the addictive property of this medication. And so we had a lot of people put on this medication who had chronic pain, and these medicines don't treat the pain. I mean, they don't make it, they don't have any therapeutic value beyond temporary pain relief. And the adverse effects far outweigh any benefit, or at least that's the information that I've seen. And we all know and have seen over the last several years what it's done to all of our communities and how it's impacted us. So that is the nature of the opioid litigation. It's trying to recover some of the costs that these communities, these governmental entities, school boards that have, that they have expended and spent in trying to deal with these issues. Anybody have any questions, or is there any discussion about that particular litigation?
How many people, what's our exposure to this, I guess? Is it in our district? How much more do we spend because of this than we would have otherwise? I know it's a difficult number, but it's.
I don't know. The only way, Matt, the only way to really know that is for us to take a look at our expenditures and kind of track it over a period of time. I would do a 15-year look back. And I think the best way to judge that would be to look at our special education spending. And it's not all of that spending is directly related to NAS, but you can see, if you see the gradual increase, I think it probably has a lot to do, and it may not be the case in Menifee. Like I said, I don't know, but that's where one of the metrics you would use to determine how much we've spent.
But if I'm just off the top of my head, if it's gained $100,000 in the last 15 years, that's a random number. It's not that number. I'm just easy math.
Right.
But only 10,000 of it is even partially attributable to this. It's different than if it's 75,000. What percentage of our increase? Because it's going to go up every year, regardless of this natal syndrome or not. So I guess if I had an idea, if it was a large percentage of our increase or a small percentage. Man, I think it's a bad thing, and I think that the opioid crisis is massive. I'm not questioning that. Just our exposure to this particular thing is my question, I guess.
What was that? I didn't catch that last time.
Our exposure to this particular thing is my question. I acknowledge that this is a massive crisis in our part of the Appalachia in general. No question there. But if even given that crisis, if our exposure financially is $10,000 above what it would have been otherwise, I don't see the point. And then I want to know ahead of time, not that we're going to win, but that we've experienced some significant exposure because of this, I guess.
Well, I mean, I guess that would be part of your decision-making process. You would definitely have to put that information together in order to get any recovery. We're going to have to know those numbers.
Right.
We're going to have to be able to show that. So, I mean, you know, your point's well taken, but I think it will kind of work itself out if, in fact, we don't. I mean, if you join in this litigation and we can't prove any damage, then we're not going to recover any money. Either way, we're not out any money. So, I mean, it's really not a burden or a drain on the board. I think it probably would be helpful to know, you know, just as we look at how you budget and what your numbers, it would be helpful to know the information, even if you don't pursue the litigation. But, you know, that's where we are with it.
So I'm ahead of the bus. Yeah, that happens to me a lot.
What's that, man?
I'm ahead of I have the cart ahead of the horse.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now the next the next issue is this e-cigarette litigation, and that is more of a that's what you call a nuisance lawsuit. And what they're trying to do with that, and it will be a little more difficult, I would say, to prove actual damage, but adding your name to the list just helps increase the legitimacy of what they're trying to do. And they're trying to eliminate these e-cigarettes. And it's fairly clear that they have been marketed towards the teenage population. And when you're looking at the damage done to these kids, I mean, the effect that it has on their lives, and they spend a majority of their time at school. So schools are dealing with issues associated with e-cigarettes, whether it's having to police the kids that are vaping or whatever you call it while they're at school. Then you're also dealing with addiction issues because they are consuming an addictive substance. While it might not be a cigarette, it's still, you know, if it didn't affect you, they wouldn't be doing it. So these things are dangerous. I think you've seen in the news, and you've seen through articles about the adverse health effects that it has. And Julie, if you want to chime in on this, I'd really like to hear your perspective. But I know it's a dangerous thing, and we've seen a serious impact on the health of people with this.
Well, and I think that, you know, I remember probably back in the very early part of the year, Mr. Manley walked out with a box of about 50 e-cigarette type devices, whether they were Juuls or other types of thumb drive sized devices that helped you absorb nicotine. And of course, nicotine is the second most highly addicting substance known to man. The first one is actually cocaine. Morphine comes after that, which would be the opioids that we've been talking about. I think there is the popcorn lung type illness that can suddenly and dramatically impact people. And for some reason, there was a huge rise in that, and then a really big drop. So whatever was causing that, I think, whether we know why or not, the people that were making the Juuls cottoned on to whatever that dangerous substance was and got rid of it.
Also, liquid marijuana can be used in these Juuls.
Right.
Right. And,
Brenda, that's a good point. I meant to mention that, but yes, that's another issue.
You can't know when you're walking up and finding a kid vaping. You may know their behaviors, but either way, it's actually seems a heck of a lot more dangerous. I mean, if you've ever seen an electronic cigarette, there is a lot of substance that is taken into the lungs. It cannot be good. I mean,
Right.
we will know 10 years from now how many people it's killing for the long-term effects. And and we just need to educate. We need the money to help educate. We need the, and in both of these cases, I think part of the issue is not just where our students are now, but both of these end up being kind of mental health issues. Even if your child wasn't impacted by opioids when they were born, their friend, their parent, their grandparent, all of these people that are supposed to be supports in kids' lives are missing because of opioids, leaving them adrift right now, increasing our need for mental health. In order to keep kids away from addictive substances, we need to concentrate on, self-esteem and PBIS and things like that to bring about those changes. And I can see that that's probably where some of this money is going to be used with school resource officers, and increased access to pathways and just some different things like that.
And I think Matt and
I'm
Julia.
really, go ahead, Mr. Spencer. What?
Matt and Julia's brought up some really good points.
Oh, I really,
speaking
really,
of this,
Mhm.
a lot of it is just going to be with education, providing more opportunities for our kids to learn more about the dangers of this, and working through our high school principal pathways, guidance counselors, of just changing, just because the jewel is, the thing to do, it doesn't mean that it's not going to have an adverse effect on you. So just working, and you're correct, Julia, Mr. Manley at the high school, but not only at the high school. And I think Miss Means, I remember sharing with her that it's a middle school issue as well. So
it's very much a middle school issue. Yes.
The more we continue with this of educating, changing the actual viewpoints of this would definitely be advantageous for us. So whether the board votes to join the litigation or not, this is something that we need to continuously focus on. And this appears to be something that other districts are doing in order to maybe try to get some funds for this and move forward with this. So
I guess, sorry to interrupt. I'm 100% on board with educating and informing our students to be better citizens in respect to this, to make better choices. And I'm just kind of, I told you and Greg earlier, I'm kind of litigation averse. It's not my nature. And so my foundational stance on this is no, because it just, why litigate everything? But I'm all for supporting, for gaining funds to support the education of our students, to create resources in this manner to support our students helps sway the boat a little bit. Again, my foundational stance is against litigation, but
and if I could just interject real quick, and I appreciate where you're coming from, and I understand that, and that's we live in a very litigious society now.
We do indeed.
Yeah, I know, and I, obviously it's what I deal with every day. I would just reiterate that in terms of both of these suits, there's no money. The board will have to pay no money. You're only going to receive funds if there's a settlement, and out of your portion, they'll take a portion of their fees out of your settlement. But if you don't recover anything, you're not out any money. The only thing you're out is the time that would be invested to put the information together, which I think would be beneficial for the board regardless. But again, I understand where you're coming from, and I'm not trying to sway your vote either way. I just want to make sure everybody understands we're not talking about hiring a lawyer and having to pay a bill every month. That's not what's happening.
Reiterate that our board doesn't
yeah.
receive any funds from this at all. This is just an informational item from our board attorney. This is not going through them.
No.
Here's what I would like to see. I guess if we're going to do this, and as we go through it, I'm shifting, but I would like us to have spent money we may or may not receive. I would like us to attack this. If it's important enough for us to involve ourselves in litigation, which I know we're a litigious society, and that's fine, but I'm not a litigious person. So if we're going to involve ourselves in these national lawsuits, let's attack this issue with the urgency it needs. Julie has mentioned several things that's harmful and it's bad for our students. So let's put out make a concerted effort in the next calendar year to educate and better inform our students on these issues, opioids and Juul.
Okay.
If it's important enough to litigate, it's important enough to spend some of the money that we may or may not get back from it and attack it. And so let's not just let's not just engage in litigation and make that like that's our action. Let's do something that's aside from just litigation.
Fair enough statement, Matt. And I do want to let you know that Mrs. Pelfrey, as far as with support services and with pathways and with our guidance counselors and our two principals, this is something that they're hitting head on just about every single day.
Right. I'm not saying we're not. I'm just saying let's.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly. And Greg, you probably want to move along and see where we are if there's no more discussion on it.
I just have one question for Sean real quick. I know that some of the larger school districts are participating in these. Are there very many smaller districts like us?
You will be the third or fourth of the ones we represent. I think there's several. I mean, because there's no cost to it. So
yeah, I know.
Right. And so most of our districts are joining in this litigation.
Mm-hmm. I agree with what Matt said about us being a litigious society, but at the same time, especially in both of these instances, I think that they, targeted teens so much. Some of the kids that unfortunately, maybe don't have everything they need to make the best of decisions. And, lots of these things do unfortunately happen on our campuses, and we do have to do extra things to educate and to combat that. So, I don't know any other way to, I guess penalize would be a word for major companies than to sue, unfortunately. But I think it would be great if we did get any funds whatsoever to just put all of that into education for our kids and doing programs. And it sounds like we need to start way down at the elementary school side for the vaping and opioids, unfortunately.
Yes.
Cultural change.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing too, it ain't just, it covers all kids. I mean, we're talking about kids that's doing sports. It's an emotional topic for me.
I know.
Okay, if there's no more discussion or questions, I make a motion to approve joint opioid litigation and JUUL vaping litigation with other Kentucky school districts.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Who seconded that?
I did. April.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Adopt resolution to participate in opioid litigation. There's no discussion on that. I'll make a motion. Is there any discussion on that? Any questions? If not, I make a motion to adopt the resolution to participate in opioid litigation.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Get ready to get caught in a storm here.
Oh no.
I've got to move inside.
Adopt a resolution to authorize litigation against JUUL and other manufacturers, distributors, and sellers of electronic cigarettes and vaping products. Any questions or discussions on that? Not, I make a motion to adopt the resolution to authorize litigation against JUUL and other manufacturers, distributors, and sellers of electronic cigarettes and vaping products. Do I have a second?
I will second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Informational items, personnel notifications. Mr. Spencer.
Now I moved in and got out of the rain. Says my internet connection is now unstable. Lori, can you pull that up, or do we have any at this time?
I have it right here. New personnel, Menifee County.
Switch it over to that screen for me.
Yeah, I've got it up.
Okay, I'm not seeing it.
We only have the agenda showing, Lori.
Okay, hang on. Crazy.
There
Okay.
you go.
Okay.
Did it work?
Reflect,
Yes,
new personnel, Tiffany Jones, head volleyball. It just switched back over on me.
Oh my gosh, where's it going?
I've got it here if you want me to read it.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Greg, I'll let you go.
New personnel, district-wide, Menifee County High School. We have Tiffany Jones, head volleyball coach. Rodney Whitt, high school special education teacher. Alan Peck, high school math teacher. Resignations, we have Melanie Golden, head cheer coach. Jordan Gettine, is that how you say it?
Teen.
Gettine, teacher, the high school, Jason Evans, Menifee, middle school girls basketball. Allegra, thank you. Bentley, teacher, Menifee County High School. No retirements, no terminations. Transfer, Kelly Ebony, transferred to Assistant Principal at Botts Elementary and Menifee Elementary. Tanya Means, Principal at Botts Elementary and Menifee Elementary. And Lisa Kilgore transferred to Save the Children Assistant.
Okay. And also, just want to bring, this will be in official minutes next month, but I do want to let you know that Mr. Manley, our school administrative manager at the high school, has accepted position at Montgomery County Area Technical Center and will be the new principal of Montgomery County ATC. And I think that would be effective on Monday or Tuesday. So that position is currently posted. And also we will be school nurse for Menifee Elementary, and the high school is currently posted due to retirement. That'll be next month. And then also, I don't know, I think you're aware, but Ms. McCormick, our director of personalized learning, has accepted a position to become the new director of special education at Montgomery County. And we have hired, starting official July 1, Joshua Kincaid. He will be our new director of personalized learning, and he is from Powell County Schools. So he will start effective July 1. So those will be in the minutes for next month, but I just want to bring you up to date on those.
Principal update and instructional support.
Okay, Miss Means or Miss Schwartz, whichever one wants to go first.
I'm on here unless Lana wants to go first. I guess not, so I'll just jump in.
Go ahead.
How's that? Can you all hear me?
You're good.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to give a couple of quick updates. We finished the year as strong as we could. We know it was a very odd year, but very proud of all of our teachers at Botts Elementary and Menifee Elementary. Just a wonderful job with the work they put together for our students. Couple of exciting things. Our buildings will not look the same as they do in years past in the summers, because they're usually very busy places with ball camp and art camp and drama camp. But we are making the best of the situation we're in, and we do have 2 summer programs going on. We have 21st Century. We'll have our summer program at Botts Elementary starting next Tuesday. And that will be for students that are currently in the 21st Century program. We have already hired teachers for that, and they will be doing a lot of virtual learning. They'll be doing some visits from a distance, and those students will get a lot of instructional, educational materials. So we're very excited about that, and it will last for 4 weeks, and it will finish on June 19th. As Mr. Spencer said, we just found out yesterday about 3 o'clock that at Menifee Elementary, our Save the Children program is going to provide summer funding for our K-5 students also. It's also going to start on Tuesday. Lauren Parks and Lisa Kilgore will be running that program, and that's about $40,000 that Save the Children is putting into our students over 4 weeks. So we are very excited. They are going to be getting a lot of books, scholastic kits, lots of STEM activities, and they will be delivering those items and kind of doing a check and connect with parents and students. So we're very excited for both of those programs at our elementary schools. And that's the high points right now.
Any questions for Miss Means? I just want to commend her. She's done a great job running both schools. Miss Means, you've done a great job. Thank you very much. Miss Schwartz, same with you as well. Good job, and I'll let you give your report.
I do. Before Lana starts, I just want to say congratulations to Lana and the high school. The graduation ceremony was amazing, and I was happy to be just a small part of it. But I know that took an extreme amount of planning to make that work, and I just want to say it turned out really wonderful.
And let me add to that. I've seen some previews of it. I think we have to get it in an hour and a half, I believe, Mr. Vice. And Kelly Weiss has done just a phenomenal job with this. He has put together a professional quality. Some districts I've heard has paid as much as $30,000 to get their graduation videoed. Kelly has done an outstanding job. And when you see this, you're going to be amazed with it. I mean, it is a very professional job. So Kelly, if you're on here, great job. Very much. I mean, sneak preview. If it's anything like the sneak preview, you're going to be very proud to be associated with the Menifee County School District.
Well, y'all stole my thunder.
Sorry about that, Ms. Schwartz. You can
That's
keep
okay.
on bragging on him.
Listen, this was an amazing program done by from the Menifee County school community. And I'll say this was a team effort from Mr. Spencer, Ms. Mings, the board members, the staff from MES and MCHS, from top to bottom, from parents to students. It being compliant and knowing that in a difficult situation, we have put together an in-person graduation, and it was very heartfelt. There was a lot of tears in and out of there, and Miss Golden and Miss Lewis, Mr. Manley, and I worked hours and hours and hours putting it together, and Mr. Weiss is still working hours and hours and hours putting it together. And this was, I can't say it enough, what an amazing Menifee County Schools community we have. The caring, the love, the outpouring, that we are the heart of Kentucky. And I appreciate each and every person for the help and the amazing work that everybody has done. It was an amazing collaboration. And tomorrow night, I hope everybody tunes in. We'll get to show it out on Facebook after that and YouTube. And we're also going to have a link for all of our seniors that they can download that and have that as a keepsake for their memories for all times. We are, yes.
Do you know what time? And Kelly, you may intervene. I know it starts at 7 o'clock on the the Mountain Telephone. I believe it's channel 52 or 54 one. I'm not for sure. But what time do we anticipate that the link will go live for Facebook and YouTube? And we can't go live until it's finished with Mountain Telephone. So will you send the link out on Facebook, Mr. Weiss and Ms. Schwartz, or how will our parents know when it's live? Will there be directions out of how to do the YouTube, or will it just be basically clicking on the link? Okay.
Quick question. What did it take total of, what, 15, 16 hours to get through it? What was the final edited length of it?
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Very professional. I'm telling you, you'll be very pleased when you see it.
I'm excited to see it.
Me too.
This
Glad
was
I'm just glad to celebrate every single senior. I felt like there was, a real effort to make every single child feel especially appreciated, respected for their hard work. It was really neat.
And Ms. Schwartz, you probably already done this, but everyone that sponsored kids, I mean, those kids walked out of there with gift bag after gift bag. I mean, and everyone that sponsored a senior, through the community. Phenomenal job.
I thought that was awesome. And I think if possible, that should be something we do every year just for our community to show the support that they have for our seniors.
I think from what we've heard, I think a lot of them like the 15 minutes. I mean, you had 15 minutes of an opportunity to showcase your kid. And
Absolutely.
It was really good. So Ms. Schwartz, anything else for us?
We are working on our awards. Miss Lewis has been amazing. While we were doing the graduation, we had people sending in scholarships in real time, and we're still doing that. We still have some scholarships out that are still coming in, so we're trying to get that all those awards out as well. So that's going to be coming. We're going to be showing, having our awards page, and to celebrate those students as well. So we've got great partners through many colleges and community and private areas giving those students the opportunity to get money to do what they need to do post-secondary. And we really appreciate those partners as well. And Miss Lewis is working, today she was working with several different partners and hearing from them and getting those back. And so we're getting a link for them. I think there's a couple of videos that they're going to be sending in. So we're going to have on our webpage, we'll have all that out, and we'll probably push that out as well later on next week. Our grades are being finalized as we speak. As you know, credits and being what they are for post-secondary, we have to make sure that's right. That's one thing that we've been working on as well this week. And moving forward into looking forward for a great year next year. We're excited from what we've done, and we have had an amazing community that's come out to support us, and we're so thankful.
Ms. Schwartz, one other thing for board members as well as the community, would it be possible for Ms. Lewis to maybe get a monetary amount as to how much scholarships and so forth that the community, as well as what the students earn through various colleges, maybe report that at the next board meeting?
Yeah, we've been working on that, and it's hard to get a hold of each senior because capturing them, and like I said, it's been like real time. We would be walking up to the graduation and things would be coming at us. And so she's trying to get a round figure. We talked about that today, about how we're trying to get that all together. We don't want to miss anybody or miss any partner. And so that's one thing that we're working on, is trying to find out what exactly they are and who they are and where they're going and how it's been happening. So we're working on that. That's
I bet we're close to at least $250,000, maybe $500,000, probably.
Yeah, it's very significant. We're real excited about. We had some new things come in this year that we're real excited about as well. So very good. I commend the community and the partners for supporting our students in everything that around them at a difficult time when they didn't get to celebrate a lot of things. So we're just happy to try to make it a little bit better for them.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Schwartz. Anything else?
Any questions?
Thank you.
Yep, thank you, both of you, for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
SBDM minutes, anybody got any questions or discussions on it? Not, we're down to communication and sharing.
Okay, we don't have anything from Facebook that I just received. The only thing I would like Mr. Vice to be able to do, I think we had a little glitch. The only one was heard him speak about when the graduation would be performed was us. So I'm gonna let him speak one more time and give an update. So Mr. Vice, can you share what you shared with us just a few moments ago for our Facebook audience?
Y'all done a good job.
Indeed so. Teamwork.
That's all I have, Chairman.
I'm sorry.
That's all I have.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Whichever one you want to go with there. I think Matt and April both did. I don't know which one got it in first.
Let Matt go first and I'll second. I'm good with that.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you all very much. Have a good evening.
All those in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Everybody have a good evening.
You too.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.